It's 5 a.m. And I'm just waking up, um, which means I'm having my coffee. um, I find when I sleep long, and I did sleep for a good like 12 hours, which doesn't happen often. Um, well, 10 hours anyways. Um, I really need the coffee when I first get up. They didn't have any soy milk at the store today or yesterday. They had a lot of almond milk. And I don't know if you ever had almond milk, but it's like chocolate flavored water. I did buy it once, and I regret it. So I actually bought real milk, but I bought this dark chocolate. I bought this before, and it's actually delicious. It's very, very rich. So it's great for coffee. I couldn't imagine actually drinking this straight. It would be like drinking a melted chocolate bar. Um, Today, I've been thinking about it. I'm gonna spend one more day playing around with things, but tomorrow I'm getting into cleaning, no matter what kind of thing. I don't want to find myself stuck in this situation where I'm thinking one more day, one more day. Um, I'm gonna play with some things today, but it's not with any intent of actually fixing anything. And I'll get to the cleaning tomorrow. This is th- I really think I've come to the conclusion that I'm picking up that there is a magnetic field, probably from the lines. I'm probably picking it up. The magnetic field is probably charging the phones, and that's allowing it to pick up radio interference, meaning that the actual cause of the noise is probably radio, a radio antenna, but it's being uh, allowed, or the catalyst is the broken wires in the neighborhood. Um, Trying to prove that is probably going to be quite difficult, or trying to disprove it. Because my landlord is an electrician, I suspect he might have a Gauss meter. If I can get him to come down here with a Gauss meter and actually measure if there's a magnetic field or not, um, that would be a step in either confirming my hypothesis or denying it. Um, it's just the way it sounds. I mean, now that I've got the idea that okay, this is interference, it really does sound like radio interference. It sounds like I'm as though I'm picking up a radio signal, but it's instead of actually hearing the radio signal, it's just distorting it. Um, Meaning that it's probably it's if I'm correct, it's very unlikely that I'll get anything here today. Although I might be able to prove to myself that it takes a little bit of time for the field to come in. Right. So if what I'm able to do over and over again is turn it off, and then I hear it, and then or it's okay for a bit, and then it comes in, and then I turn it off, and I hear it, and it's okay for a bit, etc., etc. Then I'm at least demonstrating that the phones need some time to charge. And if I can get an hour or two in the morning, every day kind of thing, or when I first wake up every day kind of thing, then I might be on the path to something. Um, but I mean, I'm going to be playing around with electrical units in here just to make sure that I don't have a stable answer. But that's going to be after I check to see if I have a short in the cord. Um, I should probably just go ahead and buy some new cables, but I am going to do a little bit of troubleshooting here to ensure. As I said, I'm half asleep. I haven't had a coffee yet, even though I slept for 10 hours. So I'm just going to drink my coffee, and I got some internet playing around to do, and then I'll get to work after that. So I just one other thing. One of the reasons I like the soy milk is because I can let the coffee sit out. Um, and I will do that fairly frequently. I'll just let the coffee sit out overnight and keep drinking it. I can't do that with milk. I just need to make sure that I finish the coffee by the end of the day, kind of thing. Which I mean, if I end up with a half a cup of coffee, right when I want to go to sleep, that might keep me up a little longer. We'll see how that works out. Okay, so I've thought about this, and here's my plan. Um, I need to get new walking phones, one way or the other. I will not settle for earbuds or piece of shit phones. I need something decent. In fact, I'll probably take a bit of an upgrade on top of what I got there. I will need to wait until my next check comes in to do that, but it's going to be a little bit before Christmas. It's the way the it's the way they do things here, at least in Canada or at least in Ontario, is they give you your it's the check that they give you is for the month that just passed, right? So on the 30th of November, I got the November check, and they will give you the December check not at the 31st of December, but around the 20th of December. They give it to you a little bit early, so you've got a little bit of money for Christmas. Because Canadians are awesome like that, I guess. For me, I'm essentially going to buy myself some new headphones for Christmas. Anyways, that's how that's going to work out. I mean, the money will eventually need to come from the GST check at the beginning of of January. I believe that's on the 6th. But whether I spend it now or, I mean, whether I buy the headphones next week and then just put the money in my pocket from the GST check, or I wait until the GST, I mean, it doesn't really matter, especially considering that I am getting the money early. I'm also going to need to write my landlord some checks. I forgot about that. So I should do that too. Yeah. So what I'm thinking is, the most important thing that I need to know right now before I do anything else is whether or not I can eliminate the interference by swapping out my headphone cords. If I can do that, because I'm convinced that that essentially my headphones have somehow become radio trans or they've become radio antennas, and I'm picking up interference from some kind of radio source. That is ultimately, I'm convinced that that's what's happening, and whether it's the power lines are magnifying the signal, or they're charging the phones, or whatever else is happening in between, the end result is that and those lights don't sound good, but the end result is that I'm picking up radio signals at some point. So if I can buy new headphones, and I have to buy new headphones anyways because those ones are demoed, and they've got good cords on them, then that's my answer. I'm going to need to do a little research over the next couple of days as to what the best way to do that is. But if I do that and it works out, I mean, whatever headphones I buy these are MP3 phones. I do not want to take my studio phones out walking, but I do need to have walking phones. So I'm looking at spending probably around $100 on them. So they'll be, I mean, not trash phones, but mid-level phones. I'm a big Sennheiser fan, as you've probably noticed, so I will no doubt go with the Sennheisers. Need to look around here, figure out where is it that I can go in and just walk in and pick up some Sennheisers. I'm going to want to, I mean, what I've learned over the last little bit, I mean, like the phones that I mean, and I won't throw them away, I'll put them aside, maybe one day I'll cut them up or something, but I need to have phones that I can replace the cable on. That's really, really important. So whatever model I decide to get, and I may even go up a little on it. I mean, if I can get $100 phones, and I have to, and like they don't come with serviceable cables, or I can get $150 phones and they come with serviceable cables, then it really makes more sense to get the $150 phones and just buy new cables when they break than to buy $100 phones and then a few years from now buy $100 phones. If I'm buying a $100 phone every 3 or 4 years, or a $10 cable every 3 or 4 years, I mean, obviously, it makes a lot more sense to get the $150 phones. They will pay for themselves within a couple of years. So the serviceable cable thing is important. I mean, nothing else is going to break on your headphones besides the cable, right? So, that's key. But I mean, so this is, but I mean, that's going to have to be my plan here. It's going to have to be. Um, why am I staring at the floor? Anyways, I got a camera. I've got a, I've got a mirror here. I can look in the mirror. Um, I'm not thinking about people here. Um, I'm thinking about myself entirely, or not thinking about anyone at all, really. Just thinking about getting the ideas out. Um, Today's what, Wednesday? So it'll probably come in on Monday or Tuesday, I think. I don't know. I'll have to check every couple of days to see. Um, if I get the phones, check to see does that fix the problem. If it does, then I'll get new cords, and that'll go from there. If it doesn't fix the problem, well, then I'll know that I've got bigger problems than that, and I'll have phones, which I need anyways. So, um, yeah, that's the most logical thing to do. So for today, I am still going to see if I can fluke out on something, or see if I can come to some other, you know, conclusion. Um, then tomorrow I'll do as much cleaning in here as I can. Everything is all scattered around, so I'm not going to get a full clean in, but I can get the big stuff up. And I'm not smoking anymore after that. That's it. I'm done. So I need to get into that readiness for that. It's important to get my mind around it, because whatever I end up doing over the next week, it's going to be not much. I can promise you that. It's going to be pretty loose, whatever I end up doing. Um, it could take me 2 or 3 days just to do research on the phones, because I'm having a hard time staying awake. But I mean, that has to be the focus over the next little bit, is that. So I did a little searching around, and it does look like they have about what I want at Best Buy to pick up. Everything is like you gotta order it, or whatever nowadays. But it looks like they have a few models in the store at Best Buy that I might be interested in. They're a little bit pricier though. So I need to think about that over the next couple of days. I think it would be useful to have a pair that I can use in the studio as a backup, one way or the other. Nothing's ever going to replace those 442s. They're irreplaceable in that sense. But I had a pair of, I think they were 407s. Actually, I can tell you because I'm using their, just trying to minimize the interference in here. They're 437s. And it was the same thing, the cord went on them eventually. They lasted a lot longer than 3 years, but it was more like 6 years. But I mean, it's the same. They were designed for walking devices, so they had a bit of an exaggerated bass response. And they sounded great through an MP3 player. In fact, the ones that just broke sounded great through an MP3 player too. But if I tried to plug them into like an amp or any kind of a system like that, it was just shit, right? So, I mean, the 437s were better than the ones I've been dealing with for a bit. But they just, I couldn't double with them. I could not use them as stereo phones at all. If I want to spend a little bit more so that I can double them, in case I'm in a situation where I think the cord is broken or whatever, I'm kind of tempted to spend that extra little bit to do that. Something else I'm going to want to figure out is like how much does it cost to replace the cord. if it costs like $50 to replace the cord, then that defeats the point, right? Um, I mean, besides the cord issue, one of the things with the smaller, I mean, they were too small. My ears are somewhat substantially created. Um, they're 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 kind of big, and I got a lot of shit for that when I was a kid about my large ears, but um, it's I need bigger phones for them. So I mean, that's another reason why like I really wish that I had been taken. I don't want to sound like a like an ungrateful ass here. Somebody gave me some phones. I needed some phones because those ones had shorted. Um, it was what I needed, and like I say, my dad was dying of cancer. He couldn't, you know. But at the same time, it's one of those like you don't want to come down and be too critical, but at the same time, it didn't really meet the needs that I needed, And like, what do? You tell them, take them back. I reject this, Like I mean, I'm not going to do that, right? And I made good use of them for a while, but I mean, I always knew that I mean I was going to have to replace them within a relatively short amount of time. So they've got to be bigger than those ones. And I really want a replaceable cord. Um, with that said, um, I'm looking at probably closer to 150 or to maybe even $170, based on what I was able to see, just kind of in a quick perusal. If I'm going to stick with the Sennheisers, I might have other options if I look at other brands. Um, or I could maybe try to do something else along those lines of the 437s, um, which is going to have a not detachable cord, but it'll only be about like 50 or $60. So I'm kind of thinking about that. The biggest reason why these walking phones don't work well in in app systems is that they have it's the impedance is not it's too low. So um, you have to really turn it up, and then when you really turn it up, you amplify the characteristics of the phones that are designed to counteract the low quality of the source. So you just end up getting, like with the 437s, they had an exaggerated bass response and low impedance. So if you turn it up to adjust for the low impedance, you get a really exaggerated bass response, and it just turns into mud. You would have to, if you wanted to turn it up to adjust for the low impedance, you would have to decrease the bass at the source, which is not the end of the world if you're just listening to a tune, but it's useless if you're trying to actually mix something. So as far as studio phones are concerned, it's pointless. Um, and it was kind of something similar with the other ones, although it was maybe the other way around. The other ones were really there was no bass at all unless you turned on the noise canceller. And if you turn on the noise canceller, I mean it affected the signal um, in ways that are acceptable when you're walking around listening to the bus. Although the noise canceling didn't work on the bus. You didn't it didn't cut out the noise on the bus at all. You could still hear the bus. Really, the only effect was that because it had low impedance, you couldn't. The volume decreased, so it didn't. I mean, it would cut out like the cars, but like if I'm walking, low battery. And that is the other thing. I don't want a battery in my phones. Like it had a battery in it, and it was such a pain in the ass. Um, the battery generally tended to outlast the MP3 player, so I mean, it didn't, but I mean, it was still like, all right, is my battery charged? And if I can reclaim those batteries, then I can make sure I've got batteries in my keyboard um, all the time as well. Um, so yeah, I mean that's what I'm going to be toying with over the next little bit is do I want to spend a little more and make sure I've got a backup in here with, I mean, like, I would need replaceable cords to do that no matter what. Or do I want to just get kind of a less expensive brand a less expensive model, I'm pretty much tied to the Sennheisers. A less expensive model, and then just accept that they will need to be replaced eventually. Um, I think that so long as I'm able to avoid the pull, um, it should probably be okay for quite some time. Um, like I said, the other ones lasted 6 years, and what really um, killed them was not walking around. It was that they ended up as the only phones I had um, when I was staying with my grandmother for a little bit, and they ended up um, with a little bit more wear than desired in more of a more of a typing context. Just because I was always lying on my back typing, or sorry, lying on my stomach typing on the computer, and it would end up getting stuck underneath me and pulled out. Right. Um, really, it was more my fault than anything else. But um, I mean, to some extent, I'd be happy just getting another pair of 437s if it was just for walking and walking only. I don't think they make the 437s anymore, but there's a 407s. I'd have to order them. Um, but then, I mean, I think they're $60. If I end up paying $40 for shipping, then I might as well just get a pair with a retractable cable. Probably one of the biggest things is I'm going to walk into the store, I'm going to listen to it, and I'm going to know what I want it to sound like. So, um, I mean, I've been listening to these tracks over and over again, paying very close attention to these sorts of details. So, sitting down for an hour and listening to the tracks is going to it's going to be very clear whether I get something that's acceptable or not pretty quickly. It looks like I have three options, or three serious options to start off with anyways. I've got the Best Buy. I've the Best Buy, I need to take the bus too though. So if the check comes through at the beginning of the week, then I'm going to need to go to do groceries anyways. So it would make sense to go to the Best Buy while I'm taking my grocery run to see what they've got there. Sorry, not the Best Buy, but the Staples. The same place I bought my card there on the second or third vlog. So it would make sense to go down to the Staples, and part of my regular grocery run. Just check to see what's there, and if I can find something that's acceptable, then I'll go from there. If not, then I'll probably want to go down to the Long and McQuaid, which I think is probably less of a good option. And if that doesn't work out, then I'll have to go to Best Buy. So I mean, that's what I'm thinking about here for the next little bit. That'll give me a day or two to play around with some things to see if I can actually prove to myself that it is the headphone cables, or at least that it's. If I can prove to myself that there's a short in the cable, and the short in the cable is interacting with something that's picking up the radio frequencies. Because if I can do that, I think it'll change my calculus. I mean, if I'm absolutely certain that the cord is fucked, then I think I'd probably be more likely to lean towards a cheaper model, and just get a whole bunch of cords. But if I think it's something else, I might want to well, no, it really probably shouldn't. That's probably what I should do anyways. It's just it is appealing to have a backup in case something happens, or even just listen to things through different paths. The difficulties of the first world problems that one loves on even when they exist on social assistance. Yeah, like, the more I think about it, if I turn that off, if I turn it on, like, listen. Now listen to this. Okay. That's pretty dramatic. If I turn it off, see? On. Maybe not. Okay. Well, still seems to suggest there's something kind of key there. I'm going to play around with a few things over there, and then I'm going to see if I can reduce that a little, and then go from there. So finally done it. That is a headphone cable surrounded by tinfoil. I tested a little bit on it, and I was getting. I mean, it was at low volumes, and it sounded good at first, and then I was picking up interference, and then it faded again, and then it was like, I mean, it's. I with all the information I have, I don't think that swapping out outlets and whatnot is the best approach for right now. I think that the approach I need right now is finding a way to shield the cable. I'm going to try this and see what it does. If it has a positive effect, I think it's pretty clear what's going on. Even if it's just a weakening, I mean, it's pretty clear. If it doesn't make any difference at all, I didn't do the whole thing. I gave it a little bit of space because it's gonna break anyways, kind of thing. So, in fact, it's probably gonna break anyways. But on top of that, I mean, I need to be a little bit careful. Aluminum's kind of funny like that because it shields, but it conducts. It's shielding on the inside, but conducting on the outside, and but it's a funny thing, aluminum. But I'm gonna give it a try and see what it does. I think that really, kind of regardless of the output of this, I think I'm probably stuck waiting until next week. But I want to see how this reacts. If I get a stable signal out of this, I might start mixing tomorrow. I'm not going to get much else done tonight. I'm going to turn it on, listen to it for a few minutes, and then turn it back off because it's getting close to bedtime. But I really don't think that anything else is really worthwhile at this point besides finding a way to shield the cable. So here I go. Okay, I'm not declaring any victories at this point, other than to say that with the cable shielded like that and up across the mixer, I was able to get it stable at low volumes all the way through, better than I have in a very long time. So I'm not willing to make any statements about whether the reason for that was that I've shielded it, whether the reason for it was because I've taken it up over the mixer like that, or whether the reason for it was that whatever radio interference was coming in has stopped. But I think that the depth of the stability, if I can say that, was strong enough that I do think there are reasons to think that the shielding was effective. Obviously, I can't do anything else tomorrow besides that until I come to a conclusion one way or another. And it is certainly exciting. It's obviously not a solution, but it may be a stopgap compromise for a bit. Um, and if it holds long enough for me to finish the project, then I'm ecstatic because that means I can get onto the next phase by the beginning of the year like I wanted to. So, um, idiots in their cars. What do you do with these people? Anyways, right now, I think it's less than I'm tired and more that I've got a bit of a headache. So I'm heading to bed, and I don't think I'll sleep long, actually, to be honest with you. I think it'll be just long enough for my head to heal, and I'm going to be back at that first thing when I wake up.